I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati, Rick in Detroit. Convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude. Strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game. Rafael Edmunds with the snowflakes. Craig Pettis in the M-Town. Sal Magluta with the boat game. Falcone with the cocaine. Like Freeway Ricky with the plug game. Like Monster Cody in South Central. Larry Davis from close range.
There were some strong emotions vented today in Los Angeles as anger increases over a disturbing allegation that in the 1980s, the CIA knowingly permitted black neighborhoods to be flooded with crack cocaine.
The single greatest scourge has been the introduction of an old drug in a new and more dangerous form, crack cocaine. Crack is a rock crystal substance that is usually smoked in a pipe. It induces an intense, short, and relatively inexpensive high. Crack is widely believed to be the most addictive drug ever sold on the street.
The government needed this money to fight this war over in Nicaragua. I believe that they felt it was more valuable to sacrifice a particular sector of America and a race of people in America in order to save the whole country.
My husband was looking at TV. Okay, and it started some shooting in the back. And lucky that I was as quick as I was, and I went upstairs, and all of a sudden it sounded like a bunch of elephants, and the whole road got shot up.
It was a drug war. It's a drug war.
You know, but
I don't, we don't know. We're not in it.
I don't have nothing to do with it.
It's a good thing that my little girl right here
wasn't outside.
Yeah, I'm a smoker. I smoke crack, and so does she. But we're not in this. We're not in this.
I'm not in it, and I swear, I really would like for it to come to a halt and get the neighborhood back
the
the way it
FBI
was.
now saying that Los Angeles gangs have franchised crack operations in more than 25 cities. Towns as unlikely as Omaha, Kansas City, Denver, even York, Pennsylvania, bedrock middle America. It's a matter of economics.
Rock of crack cocaine.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to California with it. Sunny Cali. South Central to be exact. West Florence Avenue to be exactly exact. But you know we about to head out to Tempe and go cop some fly ass fortress type shit for real. Now, if y'all South Central tap in, if y'all ever been to West Florence, live on West Florence, man. We definitely need y'all to tap in below immediately. Now, today, we're going to be covering one of the biggest to ever do it in the game. And pretty much his name speaks for itself. Done one and only WaterHead Bo, according to authorities. Also went by the Fat One, the Pig. If I had to name him, call him the Plug's best friend, because he was right there with a guy that we're going to also talk about in this story. Now, like I said, Mr. Bennett is originally from South Central Los Angeles. They're going to say he grew up in a 3-bedroom house. He had 7 brothers and sisters. And pretty much, let's just say 4 years after he should have been out of high school, because it's no record showing whether he graduated or he didn't graduate, but 4 years after. So by the time people usually graduate college, they're going to say that he was paying his rent in a fashionable apartment complex off Wilshire Boulevard with $100 bills, doing business from Detroit to Denmark. Yeah, to Denmark. And according to federal authorities, one time speaking of Denmark, they're gonna say he ran up a hotel bill that was $11,000, and that was in 4 days. And we're talking in the 80s, so y'all pretty much add that up. Now, you can't really mention Brian WaterHead Bo without mentioning Mario Villabona. Now, Mario Villabona, how could I describe him? I'm going to say he's probably one of the people most responsible for flooding during the cocaine and crack era of the 80s. And you're going to understand why I say this in a little bit. But he's going to probably be one of the people yeah, that I would say as far as connects. And him and WaterHead Bo, they were actually arrested on the same day, and that was going to be November 19th, in 1988. So WaterHead Bo was arrested in Tempe, and Mario Villabona was arrested in his Malibu home. So now his name kind of is familiar because I know it was associated with Harrio, but I know WaterHead Bo is associated with Harrio, but we're really not even going to go into that because it's just so much to cover with WaterHead Bo himself. I've seen some places where they say he went from a box boy to a multi-millionaire. According to the Los Angeles Times, they're going to say he pretty much became known as a high roller. And just for him to be doing business in Denmark, and they're going to, he pretty much frequented there. And I'll talk a little bit about that once we go into the details of the case. But yeah, according to the authorities, they're going to say they're responsible for moving tons of cocaine, with Mario Villabona supplying WaterHead Bo and WaterHead Bo supplying the streets pretty much. Mario Villabona is a Colombian national, and they're going to pretty much say that he was an alleged ranking member of Colombia's Cali cartel. And he also has ties to another big time drug dealer that everybody pretty much knows. But I'm going to try to break down some dates now. In May of 1987, and a search by authorities revealed that Villabona had about $500,000 in Danish banks. So Danish authorities were alerted, and then at that time, LAPD had begun investigating WaterHead Bo, and federal authorities were investigating Villabona. So I want to say the first thing, or the first date that really kind of stands out, because there's no definitive time of saying when they met or when it started, but the Danish government froze bank accounts on December the 3rd, 1987 for Villabona and Bennett, and Villabona's Danish wife at the time, a female by the name of Hale Nielsen. Now, on December the 5th, the authorities set up wiretaps on the rooms they were staying at, which was room 310, room 312, and this was going to be at the Savory Hotel in Copenhagen. And they given them the ability to intercept calls to Colombia and Los Angeles discussing drug transactions. So that's going to be strike. I don't even want to say strike one, because to have them on the line, you pretty much struck out already at that point. But the second thing that's going to stand out is going to be on December the 8th of 1987. The trio moved to a small town called Alsenborg in Denmark to visit Villabona's father-in-law. Then wiretaps were placed on his father-in-law's phone, plus it was placed on the only payphone in town that helped them intercept even more calls. Now, on December 9th, the trio would then fly to Milan, Italy, where Italian authorities tapped their phones at the Milan Hilton Hotel. So authorities would begin to gather more information, and it would be on December the 11th where Villabona and Bennett left Milan for Mexico City and did not resurface again until in Los Angeles of 1988. So that's until Los Angeles of January of 1988. So that's going to be pretty much at the beginning of the year. So it really was a year from that time, because they really didn't make it to December, being that they was arrested at the end of November. Now, they also, Bennett moved from Los Angeles, and I wonder why. Yeah, eventually you're getting too much money, because when he was staying at the apartment on Wilshire, they would talk about how they would see him pretty much bringing in different bags. The manager said he moved with what they called an untouchable attitude. Say he would be cloaked in jogging suits and in tennis shoes. He drove in an array of expensive cars, received couriers at all hours of the night, and occasion brought in shopping bags full of cash. So it's just like it almost had to attract so much attention. And if you've seen that almost fortress that he bought, I guess he figured that. But you could imagine the amount of money that he was making at the time if he was dealing directly with this Colombian supplier. It's almost like if you watch the movie Paid in Full. But back to Villabona, and this kind of what stood out to me, because when I was doing references on his situation and on Bo Bennett's situation, I came across a link to one of everybody's topic to talk about. Guy from DC who was only the biggest drug dealer in DC. And according to the Washington Post, among the thousands of high rollers who converged in Las Vegas in April of 1987 for a title fight between Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvelous Marvin Hagler was an unusual but definitely flashy 22-year-old by the name of Rafael Edmunds III. And they're going to say that trip will become Rafael Edmunds' trademark style. No expense spared. Pretty much brought his family members, his mom, Tony Lewis also was there according to authorities. And they're going to say they have rooms at the Imperial Palace Hotel and Casino. So according to federal authorities on that night, Edmunds had already been known as a major figure to them in the DC drug trade, but that trip would mark a turning point in his career, because while in Las Vegas, Edmunds first met Melvin Butler, who was a member of the Los Angeles gang, the Crips at the time, and he served as some sort of a matchmaker between drug retailers and West Coast cocaine wholesalers who was looking for new business. And they said by fight night, Edmund and Tony Lewis had more to celebrate than Sugar Ray Leonard's upset victory, because it was through Melvin Butler that the DC men would find the ultimate California connection, which would be a massive drug supply line that would help them funnel unprecedented quantities of cocaine to the streets of Washington, D.C. And according to, this is on Rafael Edmunds' case, they're going to say during the 18 months that followed that Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvelous Marvin Hagler fight in April of 1987, that Rafael Edmunds and Tony Lewis Sr. allegedly imported more cocaine into Washington than any drug dealers in the city's history. So if you put on top what pretty much WaterHead, Bo, and Villabona was doing on their own, just add the fact that Rafael Edmunds couldn't really kick in until they met him. And then after that, it was just no stopping and downhill from there. So if this is not the biggest story, it's a lot of, that's the thing. And around this time, I noticed a lot of like between 18 and 22. I want to say Little D was 20 when he got knocked off. WaterHead Bo was 22. Rafael Edmunds was right around the same age. So y'all see that these riches came from out of nowhere from these people that probably didn't have nothing. So you could imagine how that would change. I seen something where, especially where they said definitely during the crack time, people was just signing up for that almost like jobs. It was almost like a factory. I always say crack was the best thing and the worst thing that pretty much happened to the black community, because it brought a resource of cash like that would have never been feasible without this drug, but it also pretty much destroyed the community. So when they say gift and a curse, that's literally what it is. You know, and it's your boy Popalot. Y'all already know what it is, man. I'm gonna be back with some more of this real trill spill shit. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. and y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all hit me on Instagram, my direct message. Y'all get at me under the pictures. Let me know who we need to cover, where we need to go, what we need to do next. And you already know, man, I'm here for all of the shit. Mob, ties.